Welcome to something a little different for Ready Moveset Go. This time it's just me, John, Room 100, whatever, and this is not a full episode, though we do have one coming for you towards the end of the year. Instead, for a little while I've wanted to look at the movesets I've brought into the RMG discussions and give them their own time to shine so I could fully dive into them and include them on that nice little banner I use in my moveset videos. Some of them will be just as in-depth as my individual movesets, while some will be more like those found in my 10 characters videos, and they have the benefit of including suggestions put forth by the rest of the crew in the original discussions. For this video, I'll be focusing on the first 5 episodes, and as the series progresses, I might continue to do these in sets of 5. So let's jump in. So this is kind of an awkward place to start because it's my least involved, least inspired moveset from RMG. The series was just starting out and this seemed like a good, concise theme that still had a lot of room for interpretation. Problem is, I've barely played Pokemon and haven't played Gen 5 at all. This one took a good bit of research and asking around to make sure I was putting forward something that would actually represent Gen 5 well and be something Pokemon fans liked. But I have a blood oath duty as a moveset creator, so I did my best and will do my best to do this moveset justice. The central concept I wanted to work with was adding new types of Pokemon to Smash. This is something that even as a non-fan I felt was essential for this moveset and something I feel strongly about for Smash as is. Pokemon has an enormous amount of moveset potential and I haven't really seen that pushed to the limits with characters like Greninja and Incineroar. So I looked to popular Gen 5 Pokemon to fill in those gaps. I ultimately chose to use the same basic format as the current Pokemon trainer, except Unovan featuring Hilbert and Hilda, and introduce Dragon, Ground, and Ghost types. Besides those new types and some interesting new moves, there's no huge gimmick here like with many Smash newcomers. Like I said, it's basically just a new Pokemon trainer, something I've always liked the concept of anyway. The first Pokemon out is Axew, introducing the Dragon type. As an alternative to Squirtle, Axew is meant to have stronger, less chained attacks and be more durable at the cost of speed. This would make Axew more of a middling stats character. Basics wouldn't be made up of anything too special, focused on short-range melee attacks similar to the smaller Pokemon or like a tiny Bowser. Smash attacks generally follow this, with F Smash being a powerful slash with Dragon Claw, Up Smash a 2-hit dual chop, and Down Smash borrowing a steel type move with Iron Tail. It still fits cause, I don't know, Axew has a tail. Moving to specials, Neutral B is Dragon Pulse, a straightforward ranged attack that does consistent damage, kind of like a fire move. Side B is False Swipe, working similar to Ridley's Down B. This move would activate very slowly, dealing a ton of damage, but no knockback, to mimic the moves used in the Pokemon games. It won't kill, but it can lead to plenty of setups. Up B is Aerial Ace, a flying type move learned through TM. This is a single slash upwards with decent vertical rise, kind of like Marth's. And of course, following the Pokemon trainer design, Down B would switch out your Pokemon. For our middle evolution, we increase attack range and introduce ground type with Krokorok. Krokorok increases attack power and adds a deceptive amount of range to match the character's style. However, Krokorok is a bit easier to kill than Axew, more of a glass cannon. In our first episode, a main critique was making sure Krokorok really felt like a ground type, so in filling out some of these other moves, I tried to pull more from ground than stone or dark, only using them when needed or visually fitting the aesthetic. For example, dash attack is Drill Run with the drill appearing in front of Krokorok, F Smash is Rock Smash, similar to Charizard's Smash Forward Down B. Up Smash is Earthquake, striking enemies on both sides from below and sending them straight up. And Down Smash is Magnitude, striking both sides farther out but less initial damage until falling rocks strike them from above. The specials are a little more varied. Neutral B is Foul Play, acting kind of like a counterattack. As the attack charges, any damage inflicted is added to the move until it's released in a huge dark blast. Side B is Bulldoze, striking the ground similar to Up and Down Smash. This only goes in front of you, doing damage and slowing enemy movement immensely for a few seconds after initial impact. The similarity of these moves allows for mix-ups and confusing your opponent. Finally, Up B is Rock Climb, similar to Squirtle's Up B, but having Krokorok climb a mound of dirt while rocks fall onto enemies below. We then reach our final evolution, further increasing range and movement with Chandelure. This was made significantly easier than the others by using Chandelure's appearance in Pokken. With a combination of dark ghosty energy and fire, Chandelure boasts the farthest reach of any Pokemon trainer Pokemon, while being lighter and more mobile than Charizard. Chandelure's build also comes with a kind of built-in tipper mechanic, meaning that getting hit by the body and not the flame will deal significantly less damage. In converting some of the Pokken moves, I didn't find exact name matches to Pokemon moves, so I'll be referring to some things as I've seen them in Pokken. This did allow me to fill out more of the moveset though. Jabs and tilts are primarily slashes and bursts of flame as displayed on screen, and dash attack is a drill move with the bottom part of the chandelier body. As a floating ghostly light fixture, the aerials are naturally pretty interesting. Nair has chandeliers swing from side to side in the air, Fair shoots blast of flame forward, up air is a vertical spin, Bear is a strong slash, and Dare is a plunge straight down like a crashing chandelier. For smash attacks, F smash is fire blast with a strong beam-like flame attack with good range, though a little less beam-like than it appears in Pokken. Up smash launches a fireball upwards that explodes in the air, and down smash is Inferno, a multi-hit attack moving forward along the ground in 5 bursts ending with a big finisher. And for specials, neutral B is Will-O-Wisp, aiming and shooting 3 ghostly flame balls that pass through enemies, dealing damage and lowering their attack slightly for a short time. Side B is Hex, a ranged command grab that quickly slashes enemies, and up B is Overheat, creating a ring of fire around Chandelier as it rises upwards. And for final smash, it's a Unovan take on triple finish, featuring Axew's Draco Meteor attacking from above, Krokorok's Sand Tomb from below, and Chandelier's Shadow Ball head on. For the Unovan trainer, I mix up the progression a little bit from the one in Smash. Instead of getting heavier and harder hitting, it's more about range and having some unique properties with their moves. A new Pokemon trainer could bring some great new things to Smash, with Gen 5 hosting a wide range of options. And as an added bonus, there's already a stage ready to go, which means I don't have to figure out what it'd be. On to episode 2, focusing on the spear. I knew working with this theme I wanted to bring in a really intense tipper mechanic to make the character unique from those with swords or Palutena with her staff. Their range wouldn't quite match the Belmonts, but the damage would be even greater at the right place. I also knew that throwing the spear would be a locked-in special, because they basically all do that. This time I could luckily work with a character in game that I love, being Undyne from Undertale. Undyne's personality revolves around being intense and aggressive and ready for action, making her a different breed of spear user. Instead of a slower, methodical approach based on range and spacing, Undyne would balance this with a higher speed and combination of quick combo moves and strong, precise finishers. This should highlight the spear in a different light than the other bladed weapons already found in the roster. To cover aesthetics first, Undyne's palette swaps would be split between her full armor and her casual jeans and tank top. The armor would be the default, white and red for Papyrus, blue and black for Sans, and purple and gold for Asgore. Meanwhile, casual would be the default, green and yellow for Flowey, yellow and white for Alphys, and pink and silver for Metaton. For taunts, up taunt has a dramatic pose with her hair flowing in the wind, side taunt is a hearty cackle, and down taunt hypes her up with a lower stance that she takes in the game. Let's get into the moveset. Undyne's jab would be a rapid jab with mid-range slashes, with tilts composed of single slashes forward, overhead, and sweeping low. Aerials would have multi-hits such as spinning the spear for Nair and multi-slash attacks for others, and a plunging attack for Dare. Up air would be a little different though, stabbing upwards while launching blue energy spears in a wave upwards. Undyne's grab and throws would shift the feel a little to include her more brawler hand-to-hand side, with references like back throw being a suplex. The spear would still be somewhat involved, with moves like down throws stabbing viciously, mirroring Undyne's pasta cooking habits. The smash attacks would be used to really emphasize the spear part of her moveset, with F smash and up smash both as straight, far-range stabs with tons of kill potential. Down smash would have Undyne stab the ground as rows of blue spears rise from the ground on either side of her. Meanwhile, the specials would better represent Undyne as a unique character. Neutral B launches a blue spear as a projectile, dealing decent damage and little knockback. These could be aimed before shooting, but would otherwise go straight forward, and would last long enough that 3 could be flying around at the same time. Side B is the yellow spear, or reverse spear. Without a target in front of her, Undyne would throw a yellow spear out in front of her, and after a very short distance it would turn around and fly quickly over her head going behind her. Faced with an enemy though, the spear would lock on and flip around the enemy, dealing highly increased damage if it strikes them in the back. Up B is Spear Flurry, a standard multi-hit slash recovery. Nothing too special or insanely helpful, as Undyne's high jumps would already be a good recovery tool. Down B is Green Heart. Undyne slashes in front of her with a green aura, locking any enemy's hit in place. In this state, they are only able to shield, but also receive increased damage that could potentially shatter that shield very easily. Weaker attacks would not move them, and there wouldn't be any increased knockback, so the threat is more about damage and balancing how much you're shielding or risking perfect shields. This effect would not stack, by the way. Doing Green Heart on an already frozen enemy is basically just a wasted opportunity for the short time they're vulnerable. As for Final Smash, a cut cutscene attack as Undyne the Undying seems very fitting. Undyne, like all of the Undertale monsters, is brimming with personality that would be a perfect fit for Smash's cartoony brawler style. There's plenty of opportunities for an awesome stage too, with my idea being called Underground. This would be split between two parts similar to WarioWare. A layout more like PictoChat on the fight screen with attacks from bosses as hazards, and scrolling segments through different parts of the underground, accompanied by amazing music from Toby Fox as well. Undyne would be a great addition to the roster and fits the theme of Spear User perfectly, but she wasn't the only character I had in mind. I actually made another more or less full moveset in case someone else chose her. Going even further into the traditional knight archetype, my backup moveset for episode 2 was Sir Arthur from the Ghost and Goblin series. I mentioned the Belmonts earlier, and honestly Arthur would kinda be a mini Belmont. He'd use a lot of the same tools and tactics, but with Mario's size and mobility. He'd also lose out on range even more than Undyne does, but makes up for it with really powerful sweet spots. Also, his palette swaps could be pulled from the various armor sets in the game and his armorless sprites. You could probably build a mechanic out of losing your armor, but I wanted to focus on the new primary weapon. I won't go as in-depth here as Undyne was my main choice. Basics like jab, tilts, and aerials would all be simple directional slashes with the lance, and yes, we counted a lance as a spear. Again, like Mario, not many multi-hits. I did mix up his throws a little though, using some of the other weapons. A volley of daggers for F throw, a spinning axe for up throw, a boomerang scythe for back throw, and Gorgon magic locking enemies in stone similar to a berry for down throw. The smash attacks would continue with usage of the lance, stabbing straight forward and up and slashing low in a circle around him. For specials, neutral B is a standard lance throw similar to my description of Undyne but shooting straight forward. Side B is a combo move using fire magic with tapping throwing a fire bottle to the ground like the Belmonts, and charging the move releasing a devastating flare all around Arthur. Up B uses the Dragon Shield as a controlled recovery to surf to safety, and down B uses the Knight Shield which can endure even the strongest attacks and reflect projectiles like Pit's down B. Arthur's final smash is called Charge, and would more or less be Chrome's using the same camera angle, but with Arthur riding through enemies on his horse. Arthur would be a great addition to Smash, and I didn't even touch on all the possibilities. I didn't really look at his Marvel vs. Capcom inclusion at all, and you could absolutely use more magic and abilities if you wanted to. There's also the stage, which could be a scrolling stage called Ghost and Goblins, taking you through World 1. And for victory screens, you could use Arthur getting a key, running over to his love Guinevere, and riding on his horse with Guinevere. Arthur would be a pretty easy inclusion, and is probably more likely than Undyne. Now for episode 3, themed around food related and chef characters. I pushed hard for this theme because I had one very specific character in mind with a moveset ready to go, the chef from Overcooked. With the idea of a chef and the chaotic energy of Overcooked, I wanted to focus on the idea of multitasking with a stationary object on stage, not dissimilar to how Steve turned out. The chef would be pretty light and fast, standing a little above ice climber height, with strong attacks requiring caution and quick thinking to survive. And the palette swaps would be easy enough, using the Smash colors with the various player avatars. The chef's moveset would be loaded with the various tools and utensils used throughout the Overcooked games. They would jab with single weak chops of the knife, with no finisher similar to Pikachu, using this for F tilt as well. Up tilt has the chef jump onto a button, striking enemies with a platform rising from below. Down tilt whips out a trash can, and the dash is a basic running charge. Nair would also use the knife, while other weapons are brought in such as a fry basket flinging out grease for additional damage for fair, a blender multi-hit for up air, smack with a fire extinguisher for bear, and plummeting on a falling patch of ground for dare. You grab and pummel with basic punches and do a basic spin throw for forward throw. For the others, you would do a two-hand toss up, fling them onto a conveyor backwards, and wash them with the dishes and a down throw multi-hit. Getting into smash attacks, F smash charges up by shaking a flaming pan and releasing the attack in a big fiery swing. Up smash is a two-handed jumping cheer above, and down smash has the burning warning appear in front of the chef, then explode in a huge burst of flame. Kinda similar to Steve's down tilt, but a lot larger and more explosive. While the A moves bring in a lot of flair from Overcooked, the specials bring in how the chef is a true chef fighter in the Smash roster. The two most important moves here are neutral B, throwing a random food item as a decent projectile, and down B, dropping a huge oven, Pac-Man hydrant style. However, unlike the hydrant, the oven functions more like Steve's crafting table. I considered having it function similarly to the crafting table, assigning the oven to shield B, but I like the concept of keeping it to down B and dropping it on enemies. When the oven is on the field, a food order will appear and require various ingredients, which will show up as your thrown food. If you acquire this food and bring it to the oven, holding B will chop or fry or alter the ingredient as needed. Once all ingredients have been cooked, you will be given the full meal and you can either eat it for a massive buff and regained health, or throw it at an enemy for more negative effects and debuffs. By tapping down B, you can move the oven, but the order will be reset, and you are able to use other chefs' ovens or the ovens of your teammates in a team battle, which will produce more complex recipes. Oh, and if the timer runs out on an oven's order, the oven explodes in a massive burst of flames, harming anyone nearby, adding even more usage to this potentially devastating move. Otherwise, side B is a fire extinguisher which freezes enemies, and up B is a recovery similar to Pits using the flying bus, which will continue flying forward after you jump out. The final smash is a cutscene with the ever peckish, who towers over the horizon and eats enemies whole. I love the Overcooked games, and I think there's a ton of fun ways you could convert that hectic mayhem into a smash moveset. There's a ton of options for stages, whether it be a burning hot air balloon or a restaurant with a dangerously busy street, and some great music tracks too. No secondary moveset for this theme either, because I just love the chefs so much and think the multitasking gimmick could bring something new to Smash, even different than how Steve turned out. Going into episode 4's sports theme, I had some trouble getting a good sports rep locked in. Not only is it more about individual moves than any one gimmick, but so many sports games use real teams and players, making it hard to lock in. I considered the Mii Athlete from Wii Sports and Mii Racer from Mario Kart, but ultimately used those in a different video. Instead, I pushed my imagination to the limits and pulled from a multiplayer game that I can't get enough of, the Battle Car from Rocket League. While at first tricky to make work, there's actually enough going on with Rocket League's movement and various modes that a moveset wasn't impossible. The battle car would be the shortest fighter while still being fairly wide, contend with the fastest in the game along with a fast fall, but being deceptively light and easy to knock around. Its movement would be tricky to master, with a heavy emphasis on sliding and continued momentum, especially hazardous when off stage. There's a few options for palette swaps, one just pulling the different car bodies with similar builds, and the other based off of classic Nintendo vehicles like the Mario and Luigi cars and Samus's gunship from Rocket League, the R-Wing, the Blue Falcon, things like that. A lot of the car's attacks would be fairly similar with turns and flips, stronger moves having more of a boosted appearance. Jab is a quick back and forth, F tilt quickly spins, whipping enemies with the back of the car and spinning back forward, up tilt is a short hop and smack with the rise in front of the car, and down tilt is a stationary backflip. The dash attack would boost the car forward as it does a drill spin. Nair spins the car in place horizontally, fair and F smash are lunging front flips propelling the car forward, up air and up smash hop the car straight up while spinning, bair is a backflip sending the car backwards this time, and dare is a multi-hit using the flames from the rocket. Down smash is similar to dare but using the flames to burn out in a circle on both sides of the car. To make grabs work, I used the plunger item from the rumble mode, pummeling by driving into them and back and launching them with big flip hits for the throws. The specials mostly continued to pull from rumble to add some range and variety to the moveset, because, you know, Rocket League and Smash wouldn't be unique enough. Neutral B would spawn the ball, which you can hit and launch into enemies for increased damage and great offstage coverage. You do need to be careful about it returning to you, which is why tapping B when the ball is already out will freeze the ball in place for a few seconds. Side B is Boot, a strong single tap move like a Falcon Punch that reaches out about double the length of the car. Up B is Boost, which blasts the car forward on stage and acts more like Rob's Up B in the air with limited fuel. And down B is Tornado, working like the Orc Club item or the Mii Sword Fighters 1 neutral special. Lastly, the final smash would be called Goal, having the car slam enemies into the exploding goal in a cutscene. While not the longest, most in-depth description, the sheer fact that you'd be playing as a battle car would be enough to make this fighter stand out on the roster. There's plenty of arenas to choose from for a stage, but one with more platform potential would be nice to differentiate it from King of Fighters Stadium. Plenty of awesome dubsteppy music to choose from too. Concluding this set with episode 5, we have magic users. There are fighters who already use magic on the Smash roster, but not really in the way I've wanted to see. My preferred choice in magic fighters would be less of a mage or warlock, focusing on trickery, deception, and a more classic magic presentation. I also wanted to borrow some concepts I used for Loki in my Marvel Smash video. With that in mind, I chose to go with Kamek from the Mario and Yoshi franchises. Kamek would be a little bigger than, but overall feel like Ness. Yes, another glass cannon. Middling in weight, hard hitting and floaty with a slow fall, build around spacing and disjoints to avoid getting killed too early. Importantly for Kamek's visuals, Kamek would always be riding on the broom, just barely hovering off the ground to keep hitboxes normal. This would help make the appearance of bouncy jumps and floaty turns look more natural. Nothing too special for palette swaps, just changing the robe color to the colors of his and other Magic Koopa's robes, maybe adding a bow tie for a Mario Party skin. To keep the smash and special attacks distinct in the moveset, I tried to keep things like jab, tilts, aerials, and throws fairly similar and simple. These would all either be single or multi-hits with Kamek's wand using the typical magic shapes. For example, he would have a rapid jab with small magic bursts, but F-tilt and fair would send a single short-range blast out in front. The grab would be slightly farther range than normal as well, more like Mewtwo. The smashes and specials would introduce some of Kamek's biggest attacks and abilities in boss fights and his other appearances. F-smash is a huge fireball that flies forward similar to Mega Man's F-smash, up smash shoots 3 small magic orbs up and out in an arc above him, and down smash slams large colorful blocks down on either side of him simultaneously. Neutral B is called Animate, aiming and sending a slow moving burst of magical shapes. Striking an enemy with this move does a small amount of damage and nothing else. However, this is a move you want to aim away from enemies. If this projectile makes contact with the stage or a platform, it will spawn a random item or NPC enemy to aid you in your battle. The enemies wouldn't be too OP, mostly stuff like wandering Goombas and Koopas, the Hammer Bro assist trophy, things like that. Side B is Transmogrify. A magical aura is cast in front of you, and enemies caught inside are inflicted with one of a few curses. This could be shrinking them, making them ultra heavy and slow, reversing controls, freezing them, or adding a massive chance for tripping. Up B is Teleport, simply vanishing in a puff of smoke and reappearing much like other up Bs, and down B is Copycat, my favorite move. Holding the command for the full duration would spawn 2 clones of yourself that move around the stage with typical CPU logic. These clones do not deal damage and disappear when hit, but they do look exactly like you. This should aid you in disengaging or winding up a big surprise attack. And for a final smash, Kamek would teleport everyone into a field where a giant Kamek commands a dry bone army and other enemies made giant to completely overwhelm anyone who was hit by the move. Since making the moveset, I've actually wanted Kamek more and more in Smash. Sure, he's another Mario rep in a way, but that doesn't really matter with how special and awesome his moveset could be. I'd love to see any one of those special moves, outside of Teleport, find their way into Smash. I did have 2 backups for this one, but we'll only go into one more. The other was Big Hat Logan from Dark Souls, wielding a scimitar and using specials like White Dragon Breath, Soul Arrow, and Homing Soul Mass. But I didn't really have a great full moveset for him, and he's not a very interesting character to me outside of fashion choices. No, my other fuller moveset option was Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat as my final moveset for this collection. It'd be awesome to get any kind of MK representation in Smash, and having one of its main baddies bring a sorcerer brawler moveset to the table would be an awesome way to do that. Like Arthur, I'm not going as in-depth with this backup moveset, but as a fighting game character, Shang Tsung would fit into Smash very easily. You could fit him into the Street Fighter Terry mold, or make him more of a traditional Smash character to show off his unique specials. Shang Tsung's magic is paramount to the personality of the character, so we even see it in his palette swaps and taunts. He'd have 4 young alts and 4 old alts. His taunts would have a generic pose, a taunt where he transforms into the enemy and does one of their taunts, and one with his classic, "Your soul is mine." Combining magic with the typical MK brutality, Shang Tsung's normals would be a mix of hand-to-hand combat and quick magical bursts, with tons of grounded and aerial moves to pull from. Originally, in many of these moves, he would visually transform into one of the various other MK fighters. Whether or not he'd do this in Smash or just borrow their moves is up to the poor developers. For some examples, down tilt could be based on Reptile's slide kick, tapping again to do mysterious magic, warping the other direction with a drop kick. Throws could be based on Ermac and Smoke, as well as the corpse drop move. You could borrow super kick from Rain, and use more explosive magic moves such as Ash Flare, Cinder Swipe, and Spiritual Eruption as finishes for tilts. F Smash is Flaming Skull, again similar to Mega Man. Up Smash is Inferno Barrier with a huge pillar of flame upwards, and Down Smash is Eruption, sending a line of fiery explosions out in front of you from the ground. For specials, Neutral B is Soul Steal, grabbing enemies and draining life force with green magic similar to Robin's Nosferatu. Side B is Hot Escape, similar to Greninja but reappearing with a burst of flame after a swift horizontal teleport. Up B is Body Switch, which can be a little tricky to use. Far away from other fighters, it acts as a normal teleport with a little worse range than other fighters. However, if other fighters are close enough, you can choose one with a magic reticle and swap places with them, with huge potential for recovery and confusion. Down B is Morph. With a quick magic R in front of you, you will fully become the enemy stuck in the move until you hit down B again. And finally, his final smash combines a couple concepts into a move called Fatality. The cutscene begins with Shapeshifter's Barrage representing plenty of the MK fighters, then switches over to Shang Tsung performing his Soul Taker Fatality. While not people's first thought for a Mortal Kombat rep that usually goes to Scorpion or Sub-Zero, Shang Tsung would still be an extremely interesting fighter and really not the hardest to implement if they figured out all the weird magic stuff. The throne room could be used for the stage, and if they found a way to get the movie theme into the soundtrack, I would lose my mind. That concludes Collection 1 of my Ready Moveset Go movesets. Be sure to check out the full episodes for more discussion and the other awesome movesets done with these themes, and be on the lookout for that new episode coming out at the end of the year. Make sure to like and subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.